Hello, my name is Christy Stansberry, and I am here with my friend and co-worker, Ellen Galloway. And today she's going to be here to tell us her story. Ellen, can you tell me, how did you become a Christian?
Well, when Art first started talking about this, telling your story, I thought, I don't really have a story because, it's kind of boring. I thought I grew up, in a very loving family. I went to church every Sunday. My parents were very involved in church. I was very involved in church. And I thought, but just because I'm going to church every Sunday and I'm very involved in church, does that really make me a Christian? And as I got older, I began to think, have I really had that one life-changing big event in my life? And like a lot of us, sadly, when I went to college, I kind of fell back. And once I was out of college and I was beginning to teach, after working all week and grading papers Sunday, sadly, I began to kind of stay home when I should not have been staying home. And so I'm afraid that church just really had kind of gone on the back burner, sadly. And I just wasn't thinking about it for a while.
Well, how has the Lord affected your life since you've become a Christian?
Well, from this point forward, I can't just tell my story. It has to be our story. And a lot of you here know or knew my husband, Pat. Some of you did not know him. And that is when our story began, was when I met him. When Pat and I first married, he was this very wild and crazy guy. He was the complete opposite of me, and I fell head over heels for this wild and crazy guy. So we married, and after we married, I began to find out some things about this wild and crazy guy that I thought, ooh, I did not realize I was getting into this. And for the first 5 years of our marriage, sadly, I still did not go to church, and we did not go as a couple. And for him, of course, that was not important at all. But at that time, he wrote lots of poetry and even free verse and things. And much of his writings, God would be mentioned in there. So it kind of gave me that little bit of a hope. I thought, he does know, but it just hasn't quite sunken in. He just doesn't have all of it yet. So we became members of an organization of Amway. And it's a very Christian organization. So we went to a meeting in Charlotte, North Carolina. And there, a man named George Shen got up and talked about what God had done for him. After George Shen spoke, Pat excused himself from me and the rest of our group, went into the restroom, and he asked God to come into his life. We drove home, and he didn't tell me what was going on. And that was over the weekend, and Monday morning, he was at a Christian bookstore and bought his first Bible as an adult. And he began to read that Bible. And Pat was the kind of person that when he became a Christian, he completely changed everything. So he wanted to do something for God. And he kept thinking, look at the life I've lived. How in the world can God use me? So he happened to talk one day with Alec Ward. And he said, Alec, I really wish I could talk and speak to people the way that you do. And Alec told him, everybody has his place when it comes to serving God. So he thought, that's a good thing. Well, then, just a little bit after that, Pat was talking to J.D. Smith. And he said, J.D., how in the world can God use somebody like me? Look at the life I have lived. God's not going to want to use me. And JD told him, why don't you mark all of that up as research and use it? And so he started thinking, okay, everybody has their place when it comes to serving God. Mark it up as research and use it. Well, then, someone that was an employee of Pat's had stolen a piece of equipment and got put in jail. Pat went in to visit him in the jail, prayed with him, and realized, this is my place. So from that point on then, he was involved in his prison ministry. I was involved in his prison ministry, and I thought, okay, Lord, this is what you want me to do. You want me to help him out. And also I kind of felt like I was supposed to kind of be Pat's calmness and calm force and kind of reining back in some. So that basically is ours.
What a wonderful story. I do have to ask you one more thing, a couple more things about your story.
Okay.
How long have you been at Mount Carmel?
Pat and I joined Mount Carmel Church in, I believe it has to be 1977 or 78.
And I want to point out another part of your story, which is you teaching here at Mount Carmel Christian School. And how many years have you taught here?
35, at least.
And she is a wonderful teacher, taught both of my kids, and I thoroughly enjoy working with you. And listen, tell us a part of your story. What is your favorite verse?
My favorite verse has to be Jeremiah 29:11. If you're not familiar with that verse, it does tell us how there is hope for the future